Hey there, this is Tony from IBS. In this video, I want to explain how you create a Power App using Copilot. Now, Copilot is the new feature of Power Apps and Microsoft itself, where it helps you create different things as you go. Right? Eventually, you're gonna have Copilots for PowerPoint, for Excel, for everything. So they just added Power Apps Copilot into Power Apps to help you build your apps. So the intent here is that we're going to log in into my make.powerapps.com. You just log in your account information for Microsoft 365. Once you enter here, you're going to go into your apps, and then you go into this new app button, and you can see, right, once you go to the drop down menu, you can select Start with Copilot. There are different ways, but in this example, we're just going to use Start with Copilot. Now, once you click here, it opens this window, and basically what it's asking you is to provide details about your app and what you want to build from there. So let's say I have a customer who, he has a company that creates furniture and other processes, and right now, he wants a way where he can just track all the expenses and all the things that he buys, right? So that he can have more control about how he's managing his company. So let's say we're going to create an app to track expenses. So basically we can say that to Copilot in this window over here and see what happens, right? Let's go into it. I want to create an app to track my company payables and expenses, and be able to take pictures of receipts for evidence. So let's say that this is a simple app that we want to create. We just explain Copilot what to do. Now we just click here and let's see how the magic happens. So we're waiting, right? Copilot is doing its stuff and it's looking around on creating a table. Eventually it's going to create your screens. So here's an example. He just finished, and basically what it did is that based on your specifications, it created a table for us and to track basically an example of how the database will look like, right? So you just provided and populated some information so you can have a quick check of how that table is looking, right? So you're gonna have always an ID, then you're gonna have a name, right, of that specific payable, then you're gonna have an amount, you're gonna have a date, and then you're gonna have a receipt and a description, which is great, right? Mostly all those payables you can just track with that information. There's probably more information you can do in other places, but in this case, I think for this simple app, this will work. Now, let's say I want to add a status, because I never mentioned about adding a status to this application. So now, what I'm going to ask is can you add a status column with the following choices? I'm not sure it's writing the following choices, and basically choices could be like draft. Let's say we want to record something, we don't have the details completed, so we just save it as a draft. And then let's say active, or I don't know, yeah, let's say active and inactive for now, or let's say canceled. So let's say this is our three choices we want to put into this app. So let's just click here and see how it will modify our table for us. You can see we initially had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 columns. So as you can see, we moved now to the right. Now it basically added all this status column. As you can see, right, it's a choice. You can see in the icons, this is a text, this is a link, this is a date, this is an amount. So this way, if you want to edit, right, you can just click view, column and actually give you the details of that specific column. I think this will work. In this case, we don't want to select multiple choices, so let's leave this unchecked. I'm gonna click cancel for now. Once you're good with the table it created for you using Copilot, you can just click create app and let's see what happens. So we're gonna wait while Power Apps does the magic. Basically, it's right configuring everything, setting up that table, setting up the screens, connecting the table with the screen so that basically you can create, edit, and update and delete items from there. Okay, so it's loading. Let's see how this looks like. Right, still loading. So at this point, you just grab a cup of coffee, enjoy yourself, play some music, do something wrong, do something different, right? Well, Power Apps does the magic for you. All right. So now it completed the application. Let's take a look into what we find here. As you can see on the top one, you're gonna see the app itself. Then you're gonna see a main screen, which is all this window here, right? Contains all these components inside of it, and that's why you see all this, in this tree view, right? As you continue to expand, you're gonna see all the containers. Like for example, if I click this one, it's the whole thing. If I click inside of it, right, I have a container here that's just this banner on the top. I got another container, right, with the gallery, some buttons in here, searching options, and the form. As you can see, you can go ahead and continue here, right, and select all the levels and investigate what type of things it created for you. So all this is a time saving for you. Now let's see if this even works. So let's go into the play mode, right, to this preview so we can test it out. As you can see, once you select on the gallery all the data that it provided and populated for you, you can see that the form itself and the ID gets changed, which is great. It's exactly what we expect on the app. Now if I want to edit one of them, let's say this one, I can go into this button and say edit, and let's see, now I can just go ahead and change the date and click OK. I want to change maybe the description, so I can say this is all materials needed. Received, you can just have it received as a picture. Actually, one of the things we should have asked is to have a way to create an attachment where it actually prompts for you to take a picture. Now for some reason I believe I asked Copilot to do it, but it just came out with this way to reference and put a path for a picture. When you're creating an app, you probably don't want this because people are on the go and they may just want to take a picture and make the app handle it. But anyways, I think it's pretty good. All those things can be added. For example, if you wanted to add a picture, let's see if I can just go into this form. So I got the form selected. I can click here, click edit, and let's see if I have a field called attachments in here that I can use. No, okay, so this is not SharePoint list. This might be maybe a Dataverse table or something. So it doesn't have an attachment in here. You probably need to build it later on. But anyways, going to the point, I think it is a pretty good app. You can just go ahead and continue to build from this instead of creating the whole thing from scratch. Now let's see if this even saves without an error. I'm gonna click save. So it created that for you. Just update it, right? If I select it again, I see all the changes in here, so which is great. Let's see, let's say I want to add a new one. I just click new. Now I just select a date. I think Copilot still needs to work a bit because it's still showing my ID of the selection, right? And I'm just adding a new one, so it's quite confusing for the user. So those are the kind of things that you can just go ahead and improve. I think yeah, it's helpful, but it's not fully working app, or without suggestion or changes, so that you make your user experience better. Anyways, you can just go ahead and add a description. Let's say this is school. cool stuff, and the name is Back to School 2023. Receipts, I don't have a picture right now, but anyways, you can just put it in there. The ID, actually, it should not even let you change this because this should be created by the app itself. But anyways, let's just put a number in here since it actually requires it. Let's put an amount. I want to say $200, and let's put a status as active. Let's click save. As you can see, it got added here. So the app is working. If I go ahead, let's see if I can test the deletion. I click delete here, and then it actually asks me if I want to delete it. I want to click delete, and now that's gone. So it's pretty good. You can also test it on different devices. You can test it, for example, on an iPad and see how it looks. An iPad Air, Mini. So those are some kind of tablets, Samsung, A7. You can also test on phones, and also you can just rotate it so you can see how it looks and behaves, and you can now click, see how it works. It actually goes back. Click the second one, ID2. I can go back, click here. I can just delete this one. As you can see, right, depending on what device you are and what kind of layout you have on your device, if it's landscape or portrait, you can have different settings for the buttons, right? Before we open it, right, and for example, if I put it landscape, the buttons are next to each other. Now if I put it as a portrait, which is most likely happen on mobiles and maybe tablets, it actually changes the layout of those buttons. So you can make all this by yourself, but I would just definitely take advantage of Power Apps creating stuff for me.